Welcome to Misery Zone. My name's Kurt Burdick. I just read Safe Area Goražde, which I might be pronouncing it wrong, but it's I think I can be forgiven for that. It was an amazing book. I understand why Sacco has been completely lauded and is so kind of beloved by the I guess the world. I don't know. It is a really great work, and I am planning on reading Palestine next. And there are better people to talk about the quality of the story and the validity and interesting approach of using cartooning for journalism to describe, what people experienced, especially in extreme conflicts like the Balkan Wars. So I think I'm going to focus a little bit more on the art, and I was really impressed with the art and just his raw cartooning skill and what he can produce with a simple cartooning. Not simple, but simple in the sense that it's just paper, ink, and whatever tool implement he's using, whether that's a pen, marker, or a brush, or a quill or whatever. I'm not sure what his weapon of choice is, but the reading this story, it was just really impressive artistically and narratively. And the fact that in Goražde, in the safe area Goražde, there wasn't that many reporters, that it was cut off. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that using the tool of cartooning adds to the journalism of describing what these individuals went through in a way that is more visceral than if it was just a article without pictures. Like I said, there's people who can describe this better than I can on the narrative front, and probably on the artistic front too. But I'm just going to show you some of the pages I really liked. And one of his ability with perspective, his cartooning of the characters of the individuals, the emotion and the value patterns that he's putting in there. Like, it almost feels like it's a manga page, but he's not using any screen dots or deleter dots. He's hand drawing all of this, and that really impressed me. And obviously, I also, when reading this, I was thinking a lot about Jack Jackson's Los Tejanos, which I read I think last month or a couple months back. And I wonder if Sacco was influenced by Jack Jackson's American history with Los Tejanos and Lost Cause. That'd be an interesting thing to find out about. This story, because of the content and what it's about, it's it really did help clarify what was a very complicated and historically complicated conflict. But it is very dark. It's a very dark story. It's in many ways it's a historical horror story, as I guess most wars are. And the beauty of it is that it's not romanticized in any way. It's just showing regular people, like everyday people who had regular goals and ideals to pursue, and just to simply live their lives was their main desire. Like all of us, get some type of dumb skill, some dumb degree doing something, and be able to survive off of that. But then this horrid racial conflict happened in their country when the Yugoslav country broke up. But anyways, the lighting, the way he does the lighting with these beautiful, cross hatching. He's just a master of cross hatching. How he like creates the form on this person's back. And it almost like you just have this full value, and from this point light source, and the shading just perfect there, and then using that same style of technique for describing expressions of joy or singing, I guess, doing some stuff. People sing, but look at that beautiful landscape there, describing the village and just showing what the terrain was like. It really is a heartbreaking story. So, but there's a lot of beauty in it too, and the beauty comes from the characterizations and the resilience of the characters and the humanity of the characters and how they're depicted. It's really a wonderful book. Again, I just love this lighting. This page, again, it's similar to how I was feeling like this is like a manga, but he decided not to use Zipatone or some type of digital textures. He's like hand drawing each of these values, and he's doing it so well that I wonder how long it took him to do each of these pages. And this building here, like, really, I found real interesting, really exciting. Well, not exciting. Exciting in the sense that, god damn, that must have took so long to do. And it's just to set up this pattern of the composition. And it's also interesting how this panel is kind of balanced against this grid, and then you have all these weird little shapes. So this is so unique that it's a real building in Bosnia. So, and for those who don't know, this story is about the ethnic cleansing that happened in Bosnia, Herzegovina, in between, I think, 92, 95. It's a brutal war. When and that was from when Yugoslavia broke up, and and there was basically a civil war that ended with Croatia, Bosnia. I think Montenegro might still be part of the. I don't know. I think they say it in here, and then Serbia. And Slovenia is on the opposite side of Croatia. So, anyways, but let's take a look. The drawing of these UN vehicles and these busted up towns is really well done. I actually visited Croatia, so not Bosnia. I did go into Bosnia for a little bit. It was a long time ago in a previous life. Not a previous life, same bullshit life. But my grandmother was Croatian. She passed away, and she wanted to visit some distant relatives in Croatia. So me and my father, and I think my brother also came along or met up. We went there to Croatia, and that was 97, I believe. And you know, you would see towns like this even then. Of course, there was no. It was long past. It's a couple years past the end of the war, but like all the towns had these pot marks, and there was one town when we were driving towards the coast. We would see abandoned towns, like ghost towns, and where probably some horrible stuff happened. So yeah, it's definitely a dark period for a lot of people. And Joe Sacco doesn't shy away from that. He shows a lot of respect to the stories, the stories that people related to him. And with this type of illustration, it almost feels like a horror story. I do think, as horrific as this is, the smoke coming out of here is just beautifully illustrated. And here too, and the expressions and terror on the faces is really good. That's not terror. That's probably the best moment of the whole book. Jesus. Everything else. Cute dog, though. Some really intense stuff. This image right here, I was really fascinated by while reading it. In fact, this whole sequential page. And the reason I was interested in it was because in the story they're watching TV, and I just loved how you don't see the television in this image, and you don't need to, because his rendering is so good with lighting that with the expressions on their faces and their postures, with this kind of glow around them sitting on that couch, says everything you need to know that they're watching, trying to relax, watching a mind-numbing show of, I don't know what they're watching. It would be funny if it's like, that Urkel show. Did I do that? That show. What is that show called? Family Matters? They're watching Family Matters, I guess. Maybe. Hopefully it's translated into, Serbo-Croatian or whatever language they speak in Bosnia. Yeah, it's just that I found real interesting. I was kind of excited about that. And also, I really do love how he draws his the smoke on the cigarettes. Everyone's smoking because it's Eastern Europe, but just that slight white line. I wonder if he's like using some gouache. Not gouache. There's a certain whiteout paint that you can put in. Or yeah, he probably did. That'd be amazing if he didn't do that, and it's all just ink line is just like, not. That's just white of the paper, but it's probably some type of gouache that's put on top, or some whiteout, of some sort. Hopefully it's that. But yeah, so super good guy. Beautiful lighting again, really showing the horror and dealing with such graphic content of what happened during that war. He is really respectful in how he handles that representation in a in the form of cartooning. Like, it doesn't feel gratuitous, and you still get like these, again, moments of terror. Like, that's just a frightening panel. Let alone what the context is. Um, this is another panel I really found beautiful, and it's just a simple panel, but I loved how there was no detail on the cow's face, and that just kind of, helps with the lack of detail, and it just becoming this shade. It helps push it back in space, whereas all the detail on the the back, the hind leg, whatever it is, and with the detail of her, and you have that really dark black that becomes the focal point, right next to the really white and details of the face. So this is obviously the focal point, but just having that cow go back in space through the shading, I found real beautiful and real interesting. And also the rendering in the barn in the back is good. Not sure what that stuff is. I don't know if I want to know. Okay. Again, yeah, beautiful sheep there. Poor kid. Really frightening stuff. Okay. Oh yeah, and in this book, like, the way he drew the night scenes was kind of amazing to me, because I mean, it's just something I wouldn't be able to do just with line art, and I'd be really intimidated to just rely on hatching or cross hatching to indicate. These trees are really beautiful. How they form the reason I'm really into this, the way these trees are drawn, is because they form one large shape, but they have enough variety within the marks. And in here, even though it is one block shape, it gives the illusion of of maybe being able to make out single trees, and it's real interesting. I've struggled with drawing like forests, and getting the correct detail in, but also getting the overall shape of all the trees together. And so I found this really cool. Very intense scene, very emotionally dark scene, and also like visually dark, obviously. And again, it blows me away that all done just with the power of his mark making. So it just blows me away. It's and yeah, I'm really looking forward to also reading Palestine. This was a really interesting scene. Just how he sequentially illustrated this sequence where this Eden, who's like one of the characters in the story, hid while this tank just kept firing. And the sequentials of how that smoke goes boom, and the smoke wraps around, and then it goes boom again, and then wraps around again. And then you just see it, tank going back, and then it's gone. It's like a really beautiful scene. Really intense. Very gory scene. This, I think, sometimes I almost feel like I'm looking at a Junto Ito book, but unfortunately this is a historical, like this is journalism cartoon journalism, unfortunately, and not something fictional. Uh, oh yeah, this really impressed me. Just this one shot. It's just so like beautifully rendered, and there's so much layers to it. Like this would be a good page to do a master study of, and like just do a try to do a hand copy that looks at, you try to get like the same look to ingrain the same style of technique, but that would take forever. But really well composed page and well rendered. Again, really strong focal point, and just a very nicely balanced composition. Great expression on this guy. And this guy, that's usually, yeah, that guy's pretty intense. Jesus. And again, there is a lot of horror in this book. And just this one panel, I find like being it's just frightening. It's a frightening image. So let's see, what else did I have marked? Okay. Again, just a very sad event in human history, which sounds corny. I'm a fucking cornball, so shit. I don't know, but artistically, this is just really very well done. I wonder, this must have been hard. Certain parts of this book must have been hard to draw. I wonder if he had to, take breaks on illustrating some of this. I don't know. I probably would, but yeah. So yeah, the other thing I was thinking about when looking at this was that I felt like I just also wonder if Joe Sacco was influenced by Eileen Crumb. I might be going on a stretch, but let me see if I can. But just, I know her cartooning is a little bit more like almost like a folk art style cartooning. And I don't mean that it's just like, it's more emotional, and it's not, being focused on, it's on, like making a representational image. It's about creating the emotion of the characters. And I still need to read this book, but just looking at it, there's a lot of similar mark making styles, I feel, that maybe Joe Sacco was influenced by. And again, I'm just seeing, I think it's just the texturing and the value patterns that they're creating with the cross hatching that I see as similarities. And I also was wondering if Barry Windsor Smith was influenced by Joe Sacco's work for when he was making this monster, but he was supposedly working on this for 25 years, which I highly recommend reading this book. I love Monster. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. And again, it's just that approach of, really maximizing the use of pen and ink as your tool to describe light and value and emotion. Oh, it's such a good book. Yeah. But yeah, so that's it. That's what I've read this week, and I obviously most people have read Joe Sacco. I'm pretty late to the game in reading this, but I'm glad I did read it. It was a great book, so definitely highly recommend.